Could Joe Schoen and the New York Football Giants look to NFL free agency to replace inside linebacker Jarrad Davis? If you didn't know, Davis suffered an offseason knee injury, just underwent surgery, and then is expected to be out long term. In today's show, we're going to talk about 5 players that the New York Giants could look to replace Davis with in NFL free agency. We'll also look at some internal options. You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and I am asking a favor of all of the real ones out there. I would appreciate it if you guys could share this video on Twitter to all of your Giants Twitter friends on your timeline. The way you could do that is by clicking the share button that looks just like that below the video. Select the Twitter icon, click post to Twitter, tag your boy at Marshall Green _, and I'm going to give you a retweet, a follow back, and I'm going to give you a shout out on Monday's live show. The goal for today's show, 20 Twitter shares. So if you could, I'd appreciate it if you do share that video right now. Let's get into it, though. Who could the Giants look at as potential internal options to replace Davis coming off that offseason knee injury? You have Carter Coughlin, who didn't play all that much for the Giants last year. More of a special teams player, as well as Cam Brown. They both were selected by the Giants a couple of years ago. Darian Beavers, I think, leads the pack for the Giants right now, a rookie 6th-round selection back in 2022, but did not play in the regular season because he had that ACL injury in the preseason. You're also going to a guy like Micah McFadden. I think it'll be between Beavers and McFadden if they roll with guys already on this roster, or maybe it's a UDFA that the Knicks picked up like Deion Johnson. When you look at the guys that are on this roster that actually have stats in the National Football League at the linebacker spot, it's not that many players. Micah McFadden had the most tackles between McFadden, Coughlin, and Brown last year. Had 59, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and supposedly he's really impressed by Bobby Okereke so far through camp. He said he's looked pretty good, which is something that I wasn't necessarily surprised by. But it's something that I thought was a little bit interesting because the Giants didn't really use McFadden like that all too often last year, but he is someone that possesses speed to where he could get downhill. I like what he can do on the defensive end. He was one of the highest graded PFF linebackers back in the 2022 NFL draft. Carter Coughlin, I think he's more of a special teams guy, as well as Cam Brown. If it's not McFadden, Coughlin, or Brown, who could it be? Let's look into the NFL free agency pool, and we'll start it off with Deion Jones, the inside linebacker who last played with the Cleveland Browns in the 2022 season. He was traded by the Falcons to the Cleveland Browns, and in 11 games last year, he had 44 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 1 interception. He used to be one of the best inside linebackers in the league. I don't think he's that level of a player anymore, but I think he's still a solid player in this league. At one point was one of the fastest linebackers, and as we know, the Giants need to become a faster team on defense. The signing of Okereke definitely achieved that, and maybe the Giants could circle the block on Deion Jones because prior to the 2023 NFL Draft, Joe Schoen had Deion Jones come up to East Rutherford for an NFL free agency visit. So they probably put him through somewhat of a physical to see where the body is at because he did have some injuries this past year and early on in his NFL career. Maybe they checked out, maybe they didn't. Maybe they will look back and bring on Deion Jones, but he's definitely a guy that I think they will be interested to replace Jarrad Davis. If they sign Deion Jones or one of these other players we're going to talk about on today's show, we're going live on the channel. So subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on because if the Giants make a move, we are going to make a video, and we're getting closer and closer to 30,000 subs. Huge accomplishment, huge milestone, and I want you right there to be a part of it. What about another former one of the best inside linebackers in the NFL, and that's Myles Jack, someone I wanted the Giants to draft back in the day when he was coming out of college, was a two-way player in college, played running back, played inside linebacker, and he is a tackling machine, and he's done that pretty much every year of his NFL career. Last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, not someone that's going to drop into coverage and be an elite coverage guy, but he's a sideline-to-sideline tackler. He can fill some gaps. He can fill some holes, take on some blocks, and maybe playing next to a guy like Okereke, get free range and not have to fight off as many blocks and just play downhill. over 320 tackles in the last 3 seasons. He is someone I would definitely keep my eyes on if I were the Giants. I think he'd fit well in a Wink Martindale defense. Not much of a blitzer, so maybe he only plays on first and second down, and then you go into your sub packages with just Okereke on the field at the linebacker spot and another safety or corner. If you had to pick one of these guys, though, for the Giants to sign, who would you rather have? Is it Deion Jones? Is it Myles Jack? I'd probably roll with Deion Jones, but if they sign Myles Jack, I'd be pretty pumped about it as well. Help me decide. Type DJ or MJ. What about a familiar face for another reunion? What about Landon Collins, who last played for our Big Blue, the New York Football Giants? I thought Collins was actually decent last year for the Giants. 15 tackles, had that 1 interception, 2 pass breakups, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. He's not, your prototypical run-fitting and run-stopping linebacker, but he is someone that can get sideline to sideline, not really a safety anymore. But I'll tell you this much, I had so much fun in that Week 17 game against the Indianapolis Colts where the Giants clinched that playoff spot and Landon Collins had that pick 6 against the Colts. It was just like a full circle moment for 21 Savage. I've always been a fan of Landon Collins. I was actually okay when the Giants let him walk in NFL free agency when he went and played for Washington. I thought the injuries had caught up to him, and he just wasn't the same player he was, and I think he got overpaid, and I actually thought Gettleman made the right decision by not bringing him back. But with the Giants, how razor thin they are at linebacker, I think they could use a vet, and Collins knows the defensive scheme, and he actually played a good bit for the Giants. Played in Week 3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 23 snaps. Week 4, he had 7 snaps. And then he was out for a couple of weeks, was a healthy scratch. Came back in Week 10, 27 snaps against Washington. Week 11, 33 against Minnesota. Played the most he ever did percentage-wise in Week 12 against Indy when he had that pick 6, playing in 55% of the snaps. And then it went downhill from there when it comes to actually getting reps. Only played in 11 snaps in the playoffs. He also got special team snaps. So he has special teams capabilities, which is another reason I think he could be a good fit, as well as just once a Giant, always a Giant. Show Landon Collins some love. I love me some LC. I know you guys do too. Type his jersey number, Big21, down in the comment section. Show him some love. We got 2 more players to go through as potential Jarrad Davis replacements in today's video. But you guys need to take advantage of the deal of the day. Go to chatsports.com/Giants hat combo and get a t-shirt and a hat for less than $25. What about Zach Cunningham, former Houston Texan? He was a tackling machine early on in his NFL career. Last played, though, for the Tennessee Titans in 2022. I mean, look at that 2019-2020 stretch. Over 300 tackles in 2 seasons. I remember when he got cut by the Texans. We talked about him on the channel, about the Giants bringing him in. Didn't play in that many games in 2022. Had some injuries, just 6 games played. But if you're looking for a sideline-to-sideline linebacker that can tackle, he's a true run stopper, can get after the passer a little bit. Zach Cunningham could be a guy that could fill the spot of Davis. Probably my third favorite, actually I'll go Jones and Jack and then Collins, but they're not the last guy that I'm most interested in. What about Kyle Van Noy, who last played for the Los Angeles Chargers this past season? And the reason I want to bring him in is because look at the sack numbers. 5 sacks, 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 6.5 sacks. If you watch this show, you know I believe the Giants need another edge rusher. And maybe it's not another edge rusher. Maybe it's just another pass rusher, as Van Noy is really good at getting after the quarterback. He could play inside linebacker. He could play outside linebacker. And in a Wink Martindale system, he would be a guy that would be asked to get after the quarterback a whole lot. And he's had a lot of success in doing that in his NFL career. Would bring another vet to this linebacker core and give you just another weapon on 3rd down and long or 2nd and long where you can get after the quarterback. Van Noy, I think, would fit perfectly in a Wink defense. Pick a way to replace Jarrad Davis, though. We ran through 5 NFL free agents. We talked about every linebacker on the Giants team. How would you replace Davis? Type I if you want it to be an internal option, as in you want it to be somebody already on the roster, or if you think they should go to free agency, type F down in the comment section. As always, I just want to say thank you guys, and I always appreciate the love and support you show on this channel. Thanks for finishing today's video. If you did, hit that thumbs up icon.